Okay, so you guys had to find the common ratio. To find the common ratio, you just divide any term by the term right before it. Any term, as long as you divide it by the term that's right before it consecutively. So I can take 25 divided by 5, and we get that our ratio is 5. Next one, if I divide negative 12 by 48, or I could divide 3 by negative 12, what am I going to get? I'm going to get negative 1/4. Where do I put the negative sign? Anywhere I want? You can put it on top or in the middle. You don't put it on the bottom. Example 3, finding the nth term. They give you a formula. This is a formula that is similar to finding the nth term for arithmetic. The formula is totally different. But like it's the same concept. So finding the nth term, this right here is the value at the nth term. This is the value at the nth term. What does n itself stand for?
What number?
It's the term number. So the n itself is the term number. The n, a sub n, is the value at that term number. It's like the x and the y. It's like the input and the output. This is what people didn't understand when they took their quizzes. Because when I say find the nth term and you don't understand what that means, what am I supposed to do? On a quiz. I can't tell you what it means on the quiz. You got to know beforehand. So we're going over that again. What is a sub 1? That's the value at the first term. And then what's this n up here? The term number. Can I put anything I want in a sub 1? No. When you look at your sequence here, can I put 75 there?
No.
Why not?
Because it's not the first one.
It's not the first term. You can only put the first term there. So finding the sixth term, everywhere that I see something up there, I'm going to put a 6 in. What is the sixth term go into? That's the n. That's the number of the term, which term number it is. So I do a sub 6 equals a sub 1 is 3 multiplied by, what's the common ratio? How are you getting these numbers?
I don't know.
Well, we take any term. This is what the first two examples I just did. We take any term and we divide it by the previous. So if I take negative 15, I'm going to divide it by 3. Negative 5. If you have a negative, you need those parentheses before you do the exponent, because the exponent goes on the negative also. And then we have 2 to the 6 minus 1 up there. So we'll simplify that. 3 multiplied by negative 5 to the 5th. Do you think I would expect you to do negative 5? Okay. Would I expect you to do negative 5 to the 5th by hand? Probably not. So go ahead and type that in your calculator correctly. I would like everybody to follow the calculator part together. I love that. So we're doing 3 multiplied by negative 5 to the 5th. 3 multiplied by negative 5 to the 5th.
Negative 2,000.
Multiply by 3? Then I didn't hear you right. Omar, is that what you said? I couldn't hear you correctly. Is that what you said, Omar?
Yeah.
All right, example 4. Write the first 5 terms of the geometric sequence, determine the common ratio, write the nth term of the sequence as a function of n. So the first thing, write the first 5 terms. This is recursive formula. This just says whatever the previous term is, multiply by 1/3. So my first term is 81. What's our next term? 27, 9, 3, 2, 1. Then we have to find the common ratio. So the common ratio, you take any number and you multiply by the one, or sorry, divide by the one right before it. Brian, what's common ratio? No.
1/3.
You take any number.
Okay.
I'm going to take that one.
Okay.
Divide it by the number right before it.
1/3.
No, you said it first.
I have 1/3 right.
That's good. And we're going to write the nth term. What does that mean?
The term number? The next term. The value.
So remember, n represents the term number. And if I say find the nth term, what am I plugging in for n? N. What am I plugging in for A1? 81. What am I plugging in for R?
1/3.
And what am I plugging in for n? If I'm finding the nth term, I'm putting n in for n. You're finding a formula. A sub n equals 81, parenthesis, because it is a fraction, I need the parentheses so that my exponent goes on the whole fraction. Now, that is what those of you that tried that one had on your paper, but the book has a different answer.
No.
So I'm going to give you a, I don't know, 3-minute partner activity. I'm going to have you work with your partner, see who can come up with how the book has this answer. Nope, partner activity. Both of these are equivalent to each other. I want you to figure out how the one in blue goes to the one in red.
Or no.
Was the one in red going to the blue one?
Yeah, but I think it's going to be harder to figure it out backwards. So with your partners, talk about it.
Should this be a tree?
Talk about it. Yeah. I want to see mathematics. Once you talk about it. I got it. Write it down. Hand me your paper. I'm
No, it's water.
Okay, you get talk to each other. Each other, because you are partners. Oh, where's the Put it on your paper. Put it on your paper. Is it on your paper? You got it. Is it on your paper?
I don't know how to write it.
Write it like
Wait, does each of one of them do it?
not in words, but like
Or you got 1 minus 1 is 0.
I can just play it back.
I'm willing to say it to everybody yes, so I'm not around for it.
Then for the bottom one, it's just 1 if you don't mind.
How
The
many people?
steps in between.
Oops.
So there's steps that get us from this one in blue down to the one in red. There's missing steps here.
I know that.
Try. Share write it. You're all right. I'm looking for one specific thing.
You get it.
Okay, explain it.
Thank you.
Like I know that. Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Right. So how did they take the blue one and mathematically You're right, but how did we change it mathematically? The question is, how do we take the blue one and mathematically change it, simplify it into the red one? I'm not asking you to figure out why they're equal or prove that they are equal. I'm just asking you mathematically, how do we change it from one to the other? Yeah, that was a good question. That's why I asked it. Multiply 8, 1, 6, 4, 3. Oh, that's a spot.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't leave space, so I thought you would.
So you have to add a count.
Okay, I kind of understand what you're saying, but I don't think you do understand what I'm in my head, but what you're saying is okay.
What?
What's in my head? I was like,
All right, let's talk about it. Because I don't know if everybody's gonna get what's in my head, but hey, what are you? Okay, so what Stephen was saying, Stephen, what you were saying is fine. And a lot of you were talking about the same thing too. It's kind of what Charlie was saying to me too. A lot of you are making the connection that, well, 81 is just multiply that by 3, and you get the 243, and then this n minus 1 went up by 1. That's what I pretty much heard. But my question was like, how are we allowed to do that? So I'm going to explain mathematically how this happened. And the reason why we could do this is because of exponential rules that you studied last year in Algebra 2. This 1/3 to the n minus 1, I'm going to rewrite. I'm going to rewrite it as a 1/3 to the n and a 1/3 to the negative 1. So you had rules, well, I mean, we still have these rules, but you have rules in math that say, you know, if you're multiplying bases that are the same, what do you do to their exponent? So this would be like x to the 5. So what I did was I took that rule and said if I'm multiplying x's, or not x's, bases that are the same, I would add my exponents. I just kind of undid that rule. I unadded the exponents. I pulled them apart. So if I put these back together, it would be n minus 1 up there. So I pulled them apart. Then here's another rule from previous courses. What does it mean if we have a negative exponent?
3 times.
Right? You reciprocate whatever the negative exponent is on. So that becomes 3. So we've got 81 multiply by 1/3 to the n, and then multiply that by 3, which is why they took their 81 times 3 and got 243. Pretty easy. So, in the homework, I'm going to put both the answer in blue and both the answer in red, and I would encourage you to try both. Okay, just so you understand that. I was talking to calculus teachers, and they said, yeah, later in like Calc 2, they do more of this stuff, and it's in this form. In Algebra 2, I'm teaching right now, we're teaching this stuff right now in Algebra 2, and it's in this form. It never really is in this form. And remember when we did arithmetic sequences, we didn't leave it in the form with the n minus 1 times d. We like distributed it and combined like terms. So if you can simplify it, try to put both parts in your assignment. Okay? Questions about that? So you guys pretty much figured it out. You just didn't know it was probably a possibility. All right, the next one should have been pretty easy. This says to find the nth term, but then they told you what n is. So you're finding the nth term, but you're actually finding the 8th term. So I'm going to plug in n equals 8 into this formula. So we're going to have a sub 8 equals a sub 1 is 5. And I'm going to put 3 halves in parentheses because it is a fraction. And we're going to take that to the 8 minus 1. So I've got 5 multiplied by 3 halves to the 7th. And did you calculate that?
Yeah.
Did you give me a decimal answer?
No.
Why not? Why don't I? Because it's not exact. If you put the decimal answer, it like goes on, and you have to round it, and that's not exact. Also, the ratio is in fraction form, so put your answer in fraction answer. What is the fraction answer?
10,000.
I'll listen. Nope, I did it wrong again. 10,000. 10, 9, 3, 5 over 128. Okay, that is a sub 8. That is a sub 8. That is a sub 8. If I wanted you to plug in a sub 8, if I wanted you to plug that into the formula, I would put this on that slide. I would put 10, 9, 3, 5 over 1, 2, 8 because that is the value at a sub 8. That is the value at a sub 8. Okay, the next activity is a partner activity. So for part B, I want to give you some advice here. This is what I saw a lot of people trying, which is totally excellent for trying for the first time. But I'm going to also tell you why it's not going to work every time. I saw this. Which term are we finding for this one? Which term is this is what I saw on papers. And like trying to figure it out, which is good. That's a really good thought process. I'm just going to warn you that if I gave you a different question and I told you like the 100th term, I don't think you want to just list out 100 terms and try to figure it out, right? So we're going to attempt to figure this out, just like we did in section 9.2 of the arithmetic sequence when I gave you two separate values and their term numbers. I gave you 2 separate values and their term numbers. We did this. And I want you to work with your partner to try to think back. It was even on your quiz. Only that was the arithmetic sequence. Please don't use the arithmetic sequence. Use the geometric sequence. But it's the same concept. When you've got 2 pieces that you know, but you have to find another piece. Take a few minutes and work with your partner. I'm going to look around and eavesdrop on what you're saying. Yes. You figured this out, like kind of thought process like that. I think I might. How far apart we are. We're gonna try to figure out how to grade. As long as you're not,
And the A's we cancel out, and the R's we So they want, I mean,
we were given
I saw it somewhere. I forget where it was.
I don't see much, like, looking at our notes if you have absolutely no idea. Because I told you, we've done this, it's just with a different kind of formula. We have done it. Hold on.
What's R?
You're putting in the second term. But this is not the rate. That was the second. So you can't put that in the spot. That's what's right. Gotta put that in right. Why? What goes in that spot? What goes in that? These seven, what goes in that spot? That's not what I know. What goes in this spot?
Oh,
There's a plus sign, you're using your. Same concept. Yeah, but did you get it kind of like the way I was doing it? But if I give you 100. It won't work like that. Oh. So like, I can try to do Okay, but again, you're doing what I said. It's good to figure it out that way, but don't do it that way, because if there's
simplify it down, something like this. This one's pretty easy, so I saw for A1. A1 is equal to 3 over R. You take this equation for A1. So 3 over R times R1. Is A1. Plug it in and solve the all. So you get this. Find A1.
There's another method. We have another method.
so
You have, you can't, jump.
That's like, then actually, I don't you usually use, I think, salt. So this is one of the. Wait, I got a cool question. This one's yours. And so that was the one that makes the most sense.
And then edit. Oh, no, edit one.
Huh? What?
It says three.
But if you do that, you're gonna have to worry in the same.
What are you looking at?
It would be better to replace one of these.
No.
All right, guys. I gave you a hint. You have one more.
Yeah, I did.
I gave you all of them.
You're arguing this right now.
You don't need a calculator for that, dear.
We did do 1 times 2. What's the keep the top?
All right, so for this, I'm gonna take up a little bit of space. If you haven't written anything, I'm gonna take up just a bit of space. So if you are a big writer, just write smaller than normal. So what we're gonna do, since we have two values, but we don't have 2 in a row. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the geometric sequence formula, and I'm going to plug these in twice. I'm going to plug them in separately. So we're going to plug in for a sub 2, we're going to plug in 3 equals a sub 1, which I don't know, multiplied the rate, which I don't know, to the 2 minus 1. So plug it in. And then I'm going to plug in 3/64. That's the term number.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. But please stop and ask when you have questions, because like I said, I could tell in the quiz that people did not understand what this meant. If you don't, ask now so that doesn't end up quiz day that you don't understand. Okay, so this one, I don't know the rate, but I know that it's the 5th term, so I do 5 minus 1. So what I have here are 2 equations with 2 variables. If you have 2 variables and 2 equations, you can solve. I'm just going to simplify these. I'm going to have 3 equals a sub 1 multiplied by r to the first, and 3/64 equals a sub 1 multiplied by r to the fourth. We have 2 equations with 2 variables. You can either use substitution or elimination, but elimination does not work. I saw lots of people trying to add or subtract these, multiply by negative. You cannot add these together because this up here is one term. And to add that with this one term, they have to have the same exponent, which they do not. So elimination does not work. You have to use substitution. So I'm going to take this top equation and I'm going to solve it for what r equals. Wait, is that what you solve for? Or just solve for a? I think we solve for a. Is that what you did?
Yeah.
I forget which one I want to solve for. Whatever I did yesterday, I don't want to do the same one. You solve for a. What? Maybe. But we don't solve for 3. Are you dividing both sides by variables? I don't know. I'm not Maybe.
But second closest equal says 3 plus 3.
Right, I understand. So yeah. Alright, so I'm gonna solve this for, what did I say? A. A sub 1 equals 3 divided by R. Is that what I said? So once I know what A equals, I'm gonna replace A in that equation. So I'm gonna have 3 64ths equals 3 over R multiplied by R to the 4th. I'm going to multiply a fraction by a whole number. Put it over 1, go straight across. Now, what do I do? What am I subtracting? Here, when you're dividing like bases, you subtract your exponents. So I will have a 3 up here. So I've got 3 over 64 equals 3r to the 3rd. How do we get r by itself? Divide by 3. That's going to cancel the 3 out from both sides. I'm like writing in a weird direction. So now I have r cubed equals 1 over 64. How do I get r by itself? Cube root. And if you're not sure of the answer, there is a cube root button, but we really should not need it. For this one at least, because when you're cube rooting a fraction, you can cube root the top and the bottom separately. So what does r equal? 1 over 4. So once I know what r equals, I can plug it back in to find a sub 1. So I'm going to plug it back into, what was it, a sub... Oh, it was 3 equals, so 1 times r. So I'll plug it back into that. We've got 3 equals a sub 1 times a 4. How do I cancel out a 4? Multiply by 4. So a sub 1 equals 12. Yeah. Yeah. All right, questions on that? Yeah.
So, last one.
Where do you
Oh,
go?
never mind. Start with number first.
Yeah.
So that way you use that at minus
Where is that somewhere up?
and the 3 equals a or minus u.
Here? Or you mean here? Well, because that's the formula. Are you talking about here?
Oh.
Yeah. It did equal 2, but it shouldn't equal 2. Okay. All right, on the back. On the back. You should go pretty fast. Almost every single question on the back is just kind of plugging into a formula. We are not using the summation symbol in our calculator for any of these. I know some of you did that for like example data. We're not going to. So the first one is find the sum of the first 6. So we're going to use this sum formula. Oh, I know what I had questions on the quiz. This is questions on the quiz. How do I know which one's the sum formula out of the 2 formulas I gave you?
That's a question.
Yeah, people ask me on the quiz. Sorry if it's you in here, I don't know. But, no, it's the one with the S. That's the sum formula. The quiz is going to get harder, or the test will get harder when I put all of arithmetic and geometric on the same page and don't tell you what everything is. How do you know that this is the sum?
There's an S.
How do you know it's the sum with the geometric? R. The other one didn't have an R. Okay? Okay. All right, so find the sum of the first 6 terms. So we're going to do...
On the quiz, you should do like from arithmetic like this.
Just do that? 3 points, like 10 points each?
Yeah.
No, it's more like a bonus
50
point.
points.
No, bonus point.
Just a baby bonus.
Okay, so we're going to do S sub 6 equals first term is 3 multiplied by 1 minus the rate is 5 to the 6 divided by 1 minus 5. You've done it correctly. You get 11,718. Now, if you just wrote down my answer, you didn't actually type it in your calculator. You're not helping yourself. If this does not involve any thinking, this involves you typing in your calculator correctly. Please type. Please type it in your calculator if you have not done so yet. Type it in your calculator if you have not done so yet. It is negative, sorry. I forgot. There you go. It is negative. My bad. Okay, next one. It's not negative? Oh, dang it. Let me look at my answer for real then. Here I am listening. Nope, it's not negative. It's not negative. Alright, so who's got a negative so I can help you with your calculator? I believe you. Negative 8. You can put it over here. She just typed it in wrong. Alright. It happens to the best of us, let me tell you. One from 11. Flavor does he want? Maybe. I have more. Okay, you guys are
I like the sound for you.
Alright, next one. Find the sum of the first 10 terms. I'm putting it on the board what I typed in my calculator. It's very important that you type it in your calculator because if you type it in wrong, you aren't going to get it right. So there's really not much to do here except for find the first term, 2. 1 minus, you have to find the common ratio, which is -1/2. And because it's negative, I'm going to put it in parentheses. And because it's a fraction, I'm going to put it in parentheses. Your calculator will do order of operations so that you don't make silly mistakes. Your calculator will do order of operations. So like Cece, you made a silly mistake. You could have typed in your calculator parentheses 1 minus 5 and not even had to make a silly mistake like that. So don't try to like simplify stuff. If you have the technology, just type it in. Type it in. I'll put the answer up. You check to make sure your answer is the same. And you will see my answer is a fraction because it is given to me in fraction form. If you're having trouble in not getting these answers, put your hand up. I'll come troubleshoot your calculator with you. Here's the next one. These I do not want you to just straight up type in with the summation. If you can do that, you can use it to check. What I want you to do is use this formula. So to use this formula, we need to know the first term and we need to know the common ratio. So when you look at this, to find the first term, you have to do, you have to plug in 1. So 3 to the first. To find the common ratio, we need the second term divided by the first term. So I do the second term, and the common ratio is 9 divided by 3, which is 3. Now we're going to use our sum formula. So when you do your homework, I want to see this formula written down, and then you can use your calculator to calculate it, but I want to see the formula written down. We do first term, multiply by 1 minus the rate to the number of terms, divided by 1 minus the rate. So the second thing, same thing with the part B. We're going to first find our first term, a sub 1, by plugging in 1. I plug in 1, I get 1. Second term, plug in 2, I get 2/3. Our rate is 2/3. So 1 multiplied by 1 minus 2/3 has to be in parentheses to be 4 over 1 minus 2/3. And then before you go on to the next one, how do I know how many terms there are?
No, 4. There's 4.
No.
No, there isn't.
No, there are 4 terms, but it's not because there's a 4 here. Well, kind of. How do we find the number of terms if this doesn't go 1 to 4? You do top minus bottom plus 1. Because if I give you from like 8 to 3 or something, it would not be 8 terms. So this answer, as you're typing it in, should be 65 over 27. Make sure you get that. If you're not getting that answer, come ask me so I can help you troubleshoot your calculator. You getting that? Well, you can clear it now. You can try it. So that did not look like that other answer. Do you need help troubleshooting your calculator? You put your 10 in the wrong so you're getting a negative. Fix it on your calculator.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so weird. Wait, I couldn't hear him. You said, wow.
Okay. So you are taking. Oh, this one you're not getting. 2 minus. Divided by, yeah. It's, you're not telling the calculator to divide by the entire. Also, you have. Oh, you need to how you
No, I didn't say that. I just said great.
All right, next. Ladies and gentlemen, please do not make me come seek you out. Call me over if you need help. Please don't make me like come to you and say, wow, I can see over you that you didn't get it. Call me over. Alright, the last two a lot of people did not do. So these, you're going to get an answer if the common ratio is less than 1, or the absolute value of the common ratio is less than 1, you're going to get an answer. Otherwise, it would be infinity. If it's bigger than 1, it's just going to grow bigger and bigger. To do this, you need to use this formula that says find the first term and then divide by 1 minus the ratio. To find the ratio, we need 2 terms. So we look at this, and you look at the very bottom, and you see n equals 0. So my first term is plugging in 0. You have to plug in 0 for your first term, which is 1. Now my second term would be plugging in 1. Now we put, for our ratio, we put our second term over our first term, and we get 1/10 for our ratio. So our formula is first term over 1 minus rate, and you get 10. And then last one, first term is 9, thank you. And the rate, we would put 6 over 9 and reduce that. We do 1 minus 2/3, 9 over 1/3. That gives me 9 multiplied by 3, 27. Do the rest of the time to finish your assignment. I'll put the assignment.